Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles' Sunday service. My name is Todd Alsop. I'm your musical guest today. I'm going to get things started with a little musical magic for you. $525,600 minutes, 525,000 moments so deep, 525,600 minutes. How do you measure a year? In daylights, in sunsets, in midnights, in cups of coffee, in inches, in miles, in laughter, in strife. In 525,600 minutes, how do you measure a year in the life? How about love? How about love? How about love? Measuring love. Seasons of love. Seasons of love. 525,600 minutes, 525,000 journeys to plan, 525,600 minutes. How do you measure the life of a woman or a man? In truths that she learned, or in times that he cried, the bridges he burned, or the way that she died. It's time now to sing out those story never ends. Let's celebrate, remember a year in the life of friends. Remember the love. Remember the love. Remember the love. Measuring love. Seasons of love. Seasons of love, yeah. Seasons of love. Seasons of love, yeah.
Good morning, Todd.
Hey, Keith.
What a way to kick off our morning.
It's the season.
It's the season of love, and it's the season of light, and it's the season of joy. And that fantastic song that I know that we all know all the way down to our DNA from the show Rent, correct?
Yes, indeed.
Yes. Well, what a great way to welcome us in. Thank you for being here, Todd. I know you have really beautiful music and inspirational music for us throughout our service today. So I look forward to sharing that with you.
Thanks, Keith.
Yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, it's Todd Alsop, our musical guest today, and how joyful it is to have him bring us in on this first Sunday in December, December the 5th in the year 2021, to kick off this season of love, also the season of light and joy and beauty and peace and power and wisdom, all which are the qualities of the divine, the way that we teach here at the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles. Qualities that not only exist as the divine, but exist by means of you and by means of me. I welcome you into our virtual space here, our virtual home, as we kick off not only the month of December, but our time together on this very special day. It's very special because we have the opportunity to come together, to feel the presence, to hear familiar ideology, to hear music that touches our souls, and to then feel the energy that we all share together. If you're here for the first time, a big shout out and a big welcome to you. And for those of you who are part of the CSL-LA family, a big honoring of welcoming and hello to you as well. Whether you are joining us today through Zoom, that technological masterpiece that we all probably love and hate at the same time, and I don't like to use that word hate, but you know what I mean in that context, as well as you may be joining us through Facebook. I don't want to place any judgments on Facebook or Meta. as well as you may be joining us at a later date through our YouTube channel or through a link to our website. No matter where you may be coming from, what we know in this philosophy, faith, and way of life known as the science of mind is that you're coming only in one way. And that way is expressing your totality, your completeness, your wholeness as the light of the divine. And so with that said, we're going to kick off our service with some slides that are going to go up on the screen, and they will guide us from a visual perspective to stimulate us in a new way to welcome ourselves into this environment as we take time today, during this time together, to honor that light that exists within us. Today we kick off the season of light here at the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles, and I invite us all to look on the screen and see this beautiful being of light that is allowing the light of light to infuse her being, coming in through the crown chakra, if you will. And what we know in our philosophy and faith and way of life, a new thought teaching known as the science of mind, is that very thing that we have the ability and the gift, the opportunity to receive. It's our responsibility to share and give it back to the universe so that we stay in the flow of the very thing called good itself. And so I invite us all to take a deep breath in, put our hands together, receive the light of life and that which is shared and imbued by means of each and every one of us. As it comes in, let's create that active namaste by bowing forward and honoring the power that exists within you and within me and within all sentient beings, consciously being a participant into the flow of this divine. Namaste. And so we as a community come together and honor all expressions of life. In the most physical sense, we welcome all races, religions, countries of origins, all sexual orientations, all genders, all abilities, for we stand with you and you are safe here. This beautiful little graphic on the screen shows the myriad of how we as individuals express this total power, this complete energy of life that it exists within us and gives us the opportunity once again to express it throughout life itself. And so we welcome you into this environment called the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles. And as our beloved founding minister, Dr. David Walker, would say each and every Sunday morning, and we would affirm with him, and I invite you to do the same. We welcome one and we welcome all. We open our service each and every Sunday morning. Before we get to that, I just want to give you a little history of who we are. We teach primarily the teachings of Ernest Holmes, the teachings of the science of mind, and its very core and its very essence. It's known as a philosophy and faith and way of life, that there's only one thing that's taking place in the universe, that we both process it, experience, express it, through our thinking, our believing, our actions, our reactions, and our interactions with life. In other words, through our mind. It is the great mind of the universe that has placed its stamp of individuality upon itself and called it you and called it me. And so the way to practice that is by becoming more and more aware of this power, this energy, this life force that we're imbued with. And then consciously, just like the graphic showed us before, share that back out into the universe and how we show up in life. And that's important for us because we live in a universe that is governed by spiritual law. It responds to us by corresponding the state of consciousness, the state of awareness, the state of our tuning in to our divinity. And it's impersonal law, so it doesn't act different for you and or for me. It just simply, as Ernest Holmes says, responds by corresponding. The vision statement that we hold for our community, our center here, is supporting individuals finding their personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening. Today, you'll hear that several times throughout the message in the service, and I invite you to open yourselves up to hear anew today, unlike ever before, that you're here to find your personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening. And so we begin that process by moving into our morning ritual. Being a ritual is repetitive. We do it often and have been doing it for quite some time together. It's called calling in the light, and today I encourage and invite us all to hear these words anew. As we look at the flickering flames of the candles on the screen, may we not just know, but allow a resonance field of that which is within us that knows that it knows that it knows. that as we engage in the purpose of this ritual, which is to draw into our gathering this morning a more conscious awareness of our oneness in life and the qualities that we possess as complete expressions of the divine. I invite us each to take a deep breath in and hear the words that we are complete expressions of the divine just as we are wash over us as we exhale. And allow ourselves to know that that's true for every being of light. And so we line up in consciousness, if you will. Hold a framework of mind together through this ritual so as to promote the universal consciousness of life. This universal consciousness of life promotes that all peoples, all faiths, all sentient beings come from the one great universal presence. In our teaching, we call that spirit. It's how the law of the universe operates. In my daily text that went out this morning, it read as follows. The law of the universe is the law of divine oneness. It highlights the interconnectedness of everything, including all expressions of life. It states that every single atom inside of us is connected in some way, shape, or form to the rest of the universe. As we look at the flickering flames on the candles on the screen, let's begin to let them represent expressions of life. People, animals, trees, all sentient beings. And begin to honor them, the light within them. The great teacher Marianne Williamson tells us that when we let our light shine, we unconsciously give permission to others to let their light shine as well. And so today, let's not only allow our light to shine, but to absorb the light of others in a new way, remembering that there aren't two or more lights. There are certainly two or more expressions of the light, but the light is the same. And so let's call that light in to our time together today. And we do that by singing the song, Calling in the Light. Todd will come back onto the screen and take us through that. It's a call and response song, and I invite you to let him guide us through that. And the lyrics for the call and response part will, in fact, be on the screen. Todd?
Calling in the light, calling in the light, calling in the light of love. Calling in the light, calling in the light, calling in the light of love. I think this is the part you can sing with me. I am love, I am peace in my heart, I am free, I am spirit, I am soul, all together we are whole. Calling in the light, calling in the light, calling in the light of love, calling in the light of love, calling in the light And so it is. And so it is. And so it is.
And so it is. So beautiful. So, Todd, I know that we've had a couple of conversations leading into today's service and
Yes, we have.
rehearsal and shared time with Travis. And we had texts talking about whether it was time or not to do holiday songs. And we collectively decided that yes, it is, right? That
Yeah.
it's time that certainly these holiday songs represent calling in the light, calling, taking time to stop and acknowledge the transformational qualities of the holidays and the transformational qualities of the mystical nature of Hanukkah and of all the different times of celebration in the world right now from the various different spiritual traditions. And so I know that this is the time that you're going to kick off our next part of our service with a holiday song. Which song is it?
This is a song by Ron Sexsmith. We picked two kind of off the beaten path holiday songs.
We did.
You said it, with like themes of, forgiveness and love and all that good stuff. And this is a song by Ron Sexsmith called Maybe This Christmas.
And so I invite you all to listen to these lyrics. Each time Todd has sang them for us in rehearsal, they've touched me deeply. And I think it'll be a great foundation to then move into the message. So Todd, take it away.
Maybe this Christmas will mean something more. Maybe this year love will appear deeper than ever before. And maybe forgiveness will ask us to call someone we love, someone we've lost, for reasons we can't quite recall. Maybe this Christmas, maybe there'll be an open door. Maybe the stars that shone before will shine once more. Maybe there'll be an open door. Maybe the stars that shone before will shine once more. And maybe this Christmas will find us at last in heavenly peace, grateful at least for the love we've been shown in the past. Oh, maybe this Christmas, maybe this Christmas, maybe this Christmas.
So touching, so beautiful, so heartwarming. What a great selection and what a beautiful presentation of it.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I think that we all know in our philosophy, faith, and way of life that we can say, yes, this can be the Christmas for all of those. Right? Well, thank you, Todd. What a great selection. And I just so appreciate you and your gift.
Always happy to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And so we're going to continue now into our celebration service for Sunday. And I'm going to throw on to, not throw, but I'm going to put onto the screen our slideshow for today. I'm going to take us through a multimedia presentation today. It's been a little while since we've done that, and I think it's going to be much fun for all of us as we use the visuals and the energy to stimulate us to think anew as we move into the holiday season. As I said earlier, this is the kickoff of the Season of Light for December in the year 2021. So often we know of light as being one of the qualities of the divine, and this is the season of light, as I spoke of earlier. Today, as we move into this season and begin to celebrate the holidays, no matter where you are in your life, both physically and emotionally and mentally, and your awakened nature of where you are spiritually, is the perfect and right place. I invite you to know that as we begin this message, this lesson, if you will. Old school metaphysicians during this time in the service would call exactly this time together a lesson. Oftentimes it was called a lesson of truth. And so I invite us all to open ourselves up today to hear things anew, to see things anew, to give ourselves permission to say yes to the maybe question that Todd just sang about, not just about Christmas, but about the day, the week, the month in front of us. In other words, our life, the season of light. What does light represent spiritually? Well, light, in its most basic form, is considered one of the most universal and fundamental symbols. It is the spiritual and the divine. It's illumination and intelligence. And I looked at this several times in answering that statement of it is the spiritual and the divine, and want to talk about the difference between the two. The spiritual is the essence of the divine. The divine is that which is that power that is within all of us. The essence is that which we tune into and experience and express. We do that through both illumination and intelligence. Illumination in the context of both letting our light shine, as I spoke of earlier relative to the quote from Marianne Williamson, but also from allowing ourselves to be illumined. Just this morning as I came into my office/studio here, prior to meeting with Todd and Travis for our sound check, and I got the computer up and running, both of them up and running, and turned the camera on, and the visual of me in the room was not good, and it was dark, and I don't have any pancake makeup on, for those of you that know that when I use that term, what I'm referencing. But yet this room is filled with a multiple array of different lights to create the light in this room as if it appears natural, and in fact it's not. There has been an illumination that has transpired for me to experience this and you to experience me. In other words, it's allowing the light of life itself to bring into us a quality that we resonate with so as to create a transformation of our experience of life itself. That can only happen when we then allow the intelligence of the divine to do its part in us and through us and as us, because that's the only way it can be expressed in the context of us as expressions of itself. Light, which we're talking of today, is the source of goodness and the ultimate reality from a spiritual perspective. And it accompanies transcendence into the nirvana of the Buddhist doctrine. But in our doctrine, it's called the highest of Christ consciousness. In the map of consciousness, it's the level of attainment of awareness of illumination. In many different spiritual practices, great spiritual traditions of the world, there is a reference port into the ascension to a higher vibrational frequency. In traditional Christianity, it's accepting the Christ as Savior, and in so doing, you are imbued with this quality of the divine itself. It's important for us to remember that it is the source of all, the source of good. And so when someone says to you that you are the light, and when I say to you, you are the light, and when you look into the mirror and say to yourself, I am the light, what does it mean? Well, it may mean that you're giving of yourself in a new way to a situation or cause or relationship that you're in. In other words, it's both a spiritual truth that you are indeed the light, but by engaging in your awareness and acceptance of the light of the divine that exists within us, we have the opportunity to participate in the experience of that illumination In other words, that transcendence, that moving to a new idea, to a new experience, to a new expression of the very quality of life that we are imbued with already. Remembering that light is a quality of the divine. In other words, as we let our light shine, as we allow others to shine their light upon us, then we're radiating in a new way that is reflecting who and what we are innately already. Sometimes it also may mean that we can just simply stop, be still, and know in a particular situation that nothing needs to be said at any given time, and to just trust that the light of life will do its thing through us. To be the light means to foster peace. To foster that quality of peace that exists within us already. To apply that acronym of peace of purposeful energy activates conscious evolution. As practicing conscious, awake, alert metaphysicians, we are always being called upon to move into a framework of higher consciousness, and we do that through the act of choice by choosing to purposefully engage, right? Purposely activating, right? That conscious evolution. Peace. Personal evolution activates conscious evolution. Purposeful energy. Purposeful energy. In other words, using our intelligence, using our illumination in a way. And sometimes that's through the act of being quiet and still that activates us moving into that higher framework. And we bring that forth into our life. Remember, it's important for us to remember that light is not something that we're called upon to create. It's already there. It's already there within us. And as we open up to these flashes of illumination, as Ernest Holmes says, we'll become closer and closer to the very center of reality. In other words, our innate spiritual nature. He says it in this context: in flashes of illumination, the inspired have seen into the very center of reality, and have brought back with them, I'm sorry, I want to go back to that slide. I hit the key the wrong way. He says that in flashes of illumination, the inspired have seen the very center of reality and have brought back with them a distinct impression of what they've seen and felt. A glimpse of this reality illumines the whole being with a flood of light. Every mystic has had this experience. In the context of mysticism, what Ernest is telling us is that the flashes of illumination, of seeing the light, gives us a remembrance of the oneness of life itself. And so today I invite you to remember either the first time or the last time that you had this experience as a mystic of knowing that everything is interconnected. And remember that when you had this moment of illumination, of being inspired into the very center of reality, that you indeed not only activated something within you, of knowing and knowing that you know that all is connected and this light of the divine exists within all. But through this glimpse of reality, bringing you with a flood of light, is already within you. It's an acknowledgement, a revelation of that which is. And when that happens, it never disappears. It's there as a building block for more and more and more of those experiences, which so often can only happen when you're willing to express your light, which oftentimes means getting quiet and going within, creating a new perspective, a higher receptivity, and opening up to what's before us. And so today we're being called on our journey of finding personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening to tune into the light of life in a new way. Not that which is external, but that which is internal. And to allow that to become this illuminating power, an illuminating force that is guided by intelligence in life so that we indeed make a difference. We get to do that because innately, inherently, spiritually, we're already perfect. We're already whole, and we're already complete, as are all other expressions of life itself. As I've talked about before, these words are big words, and I recall the few times that they were spoken in my presence and how I often thought, I don't really know what that means, and I don't know that I can live that. And yet it's important for us to remember on this journey of finding our personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening, we're already living it. But what we can say yes to is to living more and more and more of it. And we do that by the act of the willingness to tune in to the spirituality of the affirmation that Louise Hay writes, which is this: in the infinity of life where I am right now, all is perfect, all is whole, all is complete. In other words, in the experience and expression of life as me, I am perfect, I am whole, I am complete. And as I say that, I know that each of you tunes into that which I'm saying, realizing I'm not stating it in I am as if I alone am. I'm stating it as an affirmation, asking you to tune into that for yourself. Feel free to repeat after me: in the expression of life where I am perfect, I am whole, and I am complete. And through the act of technology, I can feel the shift that has occurred in your life because of your willingness to tune into your perfection, that real state of being, complete, so that nothing is wanting. Now, I know we all go through life wanting things to be different. And in fact, part of what is expected of us as awakened, conscious, participatory, conscious evolutionists, metaphysicians, is that we're expected for things to be different. But it's important for us to remember the difference that we are seeking is not to make things anew. It is to fine-tune our awareness to the perfection that exists. And through settling into that, allowing the law of life to bring to us an experience that is reflective of that state of consciousness, ultimately, because it's a higher consciousness than we're into right now, the outer expression will indeed be different. So we're called to that higher idea of tuning into our perfection and into the spiritual truth of wholeness. When we speak of the whole, we're speaking of God, the divine, the source. The human self-knowing mind is our perception of this reality. And so let's choose to perceive our spiritual reality as the driving force, the energy behind the creative force that manifests our personal reality. So that we begin to remember that that which we experience personally, whether individually or collectively, is an outer reflection of a deep knowing and acting in accordance and alignment with that knowing that we are indeed perfect and we are indeed whole and we indeed are complete. Complete just as it is. And I love how Dr. David Hawkins addresses this completeness when he says that anything could stop at any moment and be complete, meaning that we could stop right now. And there's nothing that we would need to add to who we are, and nothing that would need to be subtracted from who we are for this completeness of who we are to be present. That's a big idea. It's one that you've called yourself into this field of experience today to not only know it, but to know that you know it, and then to act in accordance. As we call in the light, what we're calling in is a greater awareness and acceptance of our perfection, of our wholeness, of our completeness, and of that of others, through the willingness to forgive ourselves for any human mistakes, while living in that perfection and acting accordingly and showing up in life through that perspective. Through moving forward and navigating our humanity, but letting our divinity be the baseline for all. Many of us have heard the call of our inner desires and dreams, and sometimes it's often really difficult to find that path forward in our own awakening, and especially during these times of the holidays often. It's important for us to remember that we're here so that we can learn to explore deeply And in learning to explore deeply through questions and dialogue and openness and tuning into a higher consciousness, that indeed is the opening to the ultimate possibility of your life. Your internal spiritual awakening opens the door to a truly unimaginable possibility. Take a moment and ask yourself, what has shown up in your life that previously had been unimaginable as even possible? And I know there's a multitude of answers that we each have for that in our life, and we are here to remember today that this principle of life that's not bound by precedent is waiting within us, as I was speaking of the other day, waiting within us as if it's sitting on our shoulder saying, I'm here for you. Use me. And that's happening for us in the sense and in the way that we're called to begin to imagine in a new way greater possibilities for our lives, individually and collectively, and for us as a community. When one learns to explore deeply and then commits to that journey, your true power and gifts begin to reveal themselves, and the meaning in and of life is revealed. I know personally for myself, it's one of those things that we're so often, I think I know the meaning of life, and then I do something or something happens, or I'm just simply reminded that I'm here to fine-tune that, to let a higher idea be revealed through me each and every day, each and every week, each and every situation. And when things show up that I participate in my life, that seems to be contradictory to my spiritual nature, it's important for me to forgive myself, to open up, and then to tap into the true power of my own life, the life itself, and to allow the meaning in and of life itself to be revealed. Today, December 5th in the year 2021, we're kicking off, as I've said before, a season of light. Light. All that we have to do is go out at night and walk the streets and see the twinkling of lights on the houses and the trees. Let that remind us that the light of the divine is saying to us, I'm here to heal. And to remember that healing by means of Dr. Ernest Holmes is the revelation of this perfection and wholeness and completeness already within us. Revelation meaning to reveal that which is. Because remember, light, broken down in an acronym, is this: living in God's healing truth. Well, what is that truth? That truth, once again, in its most simplistic way, is that you are perfect, and so am I. That you are whole, and so am I. And you are complete, and so am I. And you're as spiritual as you'll ever need to be, and so am I. And you're as divine as you'll ever need to be, and so am I. And that we have the capacity, the opportunity, the ability to live in this healing truth at all times and to share it. To consciously live in and as the light of life. We do that by becoming more and more brave as to how we show up in the world. Atticus tells us there's nothing so brave in the whole wide world as a candle daring to live in the wind. We're being told here is that there may be times, and probably will be times as we continue on our journey of finding our personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening, to know that it may feel as if we are a candle daring to live in the wind. But it's important to remember, as I said earlier, this creative force of life itself is not bound by what has happened before. It's not bound by what we think can happen in the future. It's not bound by our chronology. It's not bound by our physicality. It's not bound by anything. It is boundless by nature. And so let's choose today to be a bit more brave than we were before, to experience it and to express it. Let's choose to have a light bulb moment, to be open to saying, I'm willing to live my life as a mystic, to live in this mystical nature of oneness in a new way today, even more than the last time I tuned into my oneness, and even more than I thought was possible for me. To remember that the oneness of life, this living in God's healing truth, only can happen when we're aware that it itself is an awakening from the illusion of separation. And so to ask ourselves, where in our life today are we feeling or sensing or knowing or affirming, whether conscious or not, that we're separate? And to hold that in front of us, of this, we're holding a very special gift from the divine, for that's what it is. That we can then look at that through the light of the cosmic consciousness of oneness. Through our own spiritual awakening as a template for what's possible in our life. And to dissolve the separation and to tune into a higher frequency. Both attracting into our world more and more and more and more of the very life of oneness that we desire to experience and express as the magnetism of mysticism. And to remember that what we are seeking in life is seeking you. And so I invite us all today to ask ourselves, what is the thing, both as a community, as an individual, as a collective of life itself, are we seeking to experience? I read something posted by Dr. Michael Beckwith this week that said, stop talking about the world that you don't want to live in. And let's begin talking about and participating in the world that we want to be in. In other words, let's change our thinking and let's change our life. Let's change our awareness and change the outcome. Let's change how we're letting our light shine and begin to change the world. And to know that we can't fight against the ego here, as Eckhart Tolle tells us, and win. Just as you can't fight against darkness, the light of consciousness is all that's necessary in life itself. And to remember that we are indeed each that light. And so today it's been my great pleasure to share time with you to intentionally awaken within you a greater sense of the light of life that's there. And to invite us each into tuning into a greater awareness of that light. And to make a covenant and commitment to experience and express that light in ourselves in a new way, that light in others in a new way. And to tap into the possibilities of what is possible in life, of the world that we desire to live in. And the way that we get to live in that world is by choosing to live in that world, the world, our world, shining our light and shining it brightly. And we do that through remembering that there's only one thing taking place, and that's life, light, peace, power, beauty, joy, and wisdom, all of that as one happening in life. And it's important to remember, as Ryan Jordan tells us, the belief in oneness changes nothing. But living and being that oneness changes everything. And so today I invite you to check in as a moment of self-inventory to ask yourself, what step, one simple step, can you make today to live in oneness and to let my light shine? And then commit to that step today. Just one. Just one. Just imagine with all of us on here today, if we each did this, the changes that will occur in the universe. And they happen because of the spiritual universe that we are one with. They happen because the law of life responds. That's our spiritual truth. It's the only power there is. Living in the moment and choosing to use it together. Eckhart Tolle tells us the truth is that the only power there is contained within the moment. It's the power of your presence. And most humans are never fully present in the now, because unconsciously they believe that the next moment must be more important than this one. But then you miss your whole life, which is never not now. And that's a revelation for some people, to realize that your life is only ever now. And so I know with every fiber of my being that all of our collective nows and nows and nows are all going to be steeped in these steps of change that we've agreed to participate in. And as this unfolds, today will be the day that life begins to be different. So let's trust this timing of our life. Let's stay calm, stay patient, stay determined, stay focused. But most of all, collectively, individually, let's all trust our journey of life. Namaste. And so it is. I'm going to bring back Todd to sing another holiday song, an original of his, that's so beautiful that will help guide us through the remainder of this message today.
Sleigh bells ring and jingle bells chime. It's Christmas time, ooh yeah, it's Christmas time. Another year, another chance for reuniting with the ones we love. I was just sitting here writing Christmas cards when you came to my heart. Yeah, you came to my heart. It's been so long now since we've been apart. Ain't it been long enough? And my only wish this December is to see your face again at Christmas. See, I can't even remember just what it was that came between us. There's no better time to come together than the season of forgiveness. I won't see you again this Christmas. Looking back on nights when we were young and free, I can almost see us putting up a Christmas tree. Did I ever tell you how much that meant to me? How much I cared? Outside my window, the snow is coming down, blanketing the ground, and happy thoughts of you abound. So many memories coming back to me now of those good times we shared. And my only wish this December is to see your face again at Christmas. See, I can't even remember just what it was that came between us. There's no better time to come together than the season of forgiveness. I won't see you again this Christmas. Something about this time of year can't help but wish that you were here. Whoa. There's no better time to come together than the season of forgiveness. I won't see you again. I really miss you, my old friend. I won't see you again this Christmas.
Thank you, Todd. That's a beautiful song.
Thank you so much.
I'm sure you enjoy performing your original music, right?
It's a treat to get to share it, yes, for sure.
Yeah, it's so wonderful. I suggest you record it.
It's recorded. It's
Oh, it
out
is?
there. You
Oh,
can
that's
find it
right.
all over the place.
Oh, good. Well, if anyone would like to purchase it, where can they go do that?
It's on iTunes and Spotify and all the places you find music. It's called My Only Wish.
My Only Wish. Wonderful. Well, thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Really, really heartwarming and touching. And so now is the time in our service that we have the opportunity to support our community financially, to continue on this journey of personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening for us as a community. And so I'm going to put on the screen in just a moment the methods to do that. It's just somehow my Zoom has disappeared. Here we go on the other screen. Okay, that's not the right answer. So as I'm getting that pulled together, just wanted to thank you all for those of you that participated in our World AIDS Day Remembrance Service this past week. What a beautiful ceremony we had at the Congregation Kolami. And thank you all that were there, and know that there will be more events like that. All right, so I've got to find this, just a moment. There we go. Like a one-man band here. And so right now we have the opportunity to come together to support our community financially. You can do that by going to our website, csl-la.org, and click on donate, or go to the app in the App Store, Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles, and in the upper left of ours, and that'll take you through where to find that in the app itself. You can mail in a check. Our address is 1200 North La Brea Avenue, West Hollywood, California, 90038. And or my phone number's on the screen if you need support in any of those ways doing that. Why don't we all take a moment and connect to do that and support our community, and be grateful that our community is here to support each other as well. Todd's going to take us through our conscious giving song called Love Is My Decision. And I want to invite you to know in advance that all donations, gifts, contributions are acknowledged and appreciated and received as the light of the divine doing its work. Todd?
Love is my decision. It's up to me to give up my heart. Love is my decision. No one else can help me to start. Oh, and once I decide to change my mind, Source will show me how. Love is my decision. It's my decision right here, right now. Oh, and once I decide to change my mind, Source will show me how. Love is my decision. It's my decision right here, right now.
I love that version of it. Thank you. And so I affirm for each and every one of us that love indeed is our decision. And so that which we give consciously, we do so with intention and with purpose and with direction, knowing that that impersonal law of life returns to us that which we've given multiplied abundantly. It's the way life works. And so during this time of light, this season of joy, the season of giving, we open our minds, our heart, our souls to give anew and renewed, not out of fear, but out of faith. Let it be as we say together, amen. And so it is. A big thank you to all of you for being here today, for participating in our beautiful service. A big thank you to Todd Alsop for his contribution of music. Just brings such a light to us. A big thank you to Travis Smith, our audio technician, and Robert Hensley, our support system, as well as our social media individual. You can find us on all of the great social media, I don't know about great, but they're social media sites, so YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and you can access all of that through our website, csl-la.org, and or through our website, no, that was our website, and or our app in the App Store. Just a reminder to let you know, once again, we did have a fabulous evening last Wednesday night, the World AIDS Day service. Please just watch for other things that will be coming about. We have a board meeting today after the service, and we're going to be discussing more events to come together and ways for us to come together as well. Please know that your board has great thoughts around that. And if you have any suggestions, please feel free to send those to us. Also a reminder, I sent out yesterday to all of you the information regarding Mary Ann Phaeton's memorial service that'll be next Sunday. Please know that you're all invited. The information to communicate with her daughter is on that email, so I encourage you to do that should you desire to do that. That's next Sunday at 2 p.m. Meditation continues this week. Last week we had a fabulous attendance of no one, and so I'd like to know if you guys would like to continue that, and would appreciate you showing up for those. I did record it, which was a gift and a blessing to just have the opportunity to do that without anyone listening, so I got to do it in just kind of in a different way, and we sent that recording out to everyone. I hope that you all got it and you've availed yourself of that. And that's where we're at for today. What a blessing for us to have come together during this time of season of light and season of joy and season of living. Please know that who and what you are is a gift to the world. Shine your light in accordance to your depth of knowledge of that in a new way today. I'm leaning in because the light has now come into this room in a different way because the curtains are wide open. And so it's just a reminder that the light of life is always for us no matter where we show up. And that's true for you today as it's always been and will continue to be true. Know that you're loved, that you're celebrated, and you are appreciated. We'll close with a spiritual mind treatment, and after that we'll say goodbye to those that have joined us on Facebook. Know that your week and everyone's week that you come in contact with is blessed because of your presence. And so I affirm for each one of us today that we know in a new way, newer than ever before, that we are living in God's healing truth. That this God, this power, is an impersonal, omniscient, omnipotent power that is doing its thing through us always. We experience it in a greater way as we tune in to the thing itself. And so I affirm for each of us today that today is the day that we tune in to this power, that we let our light shine in a new way, and we give of ourselves in a more expansive and a more broad way than ever before, not out of ego, not out of some needy desire to have it returned to us multiplied abundantly, but simply because we understand more than ever before that as beings that are perfect and whole and complete, we are called to magnify that. And as we do so, this oneness of life responds accordingly, and we begin to see sparkles and sprinkles of light before us. And that radiance field is a reminder of this interconnectedness that exists as us. And so we don't take this spiritual truth lightly. In fact, quite the opposite. We heed the call to use it and to use it greatly. And so we let it be as we say together, amen. And so it is. And so it is. Sorry about that.